My ex seems to enjoy hurting me even after we are no longer together. Am I looking into it too much? My ex, Sarah, initiated a breakup because I was too physically ill for her to want to take care of me. Long story short, but she gave me a rare STD from a past partner that caused permanent damage to my body. I knew it was her because I had only ever had 2 sex partners my entire life, and my other partner had tested negative for that rare STD. Before doctors could find out what was wrong with me, I developed severe and sudden onset symptoms including frequent vomiting and nausea, severe weight loss, and limping as my legs no longer worked properly. It bothered her that we couldn't party and do all the things she wanted to do. Also, Sarah transitioned from male to female in the middle of our relationship, and I welcomed it with open arms because I loved her. I went to clubs with her even though I was disabled, and tried to make sure she felt loved and supported as much as possible. Sarah, however, would never return the favor. She would often become cold and distant when I was sick, and once even left me on the cold floor of a hotel, covered in my own vomit and urine. I begged her to call an ambulance, and she turned around and pretended to sleep. When I was finally able to get the strength to get off the ground 7 hours later, I called myself an Uber to the hospital. It turned out that I had a stomach blockage. When I confronted her about this, she said she didn't believe that I was ever sick because she had an ex who lied about having cancer. I showed her official paperwork of multiple diagnoses as a result of this STD. She apologized, told me she believed me, but even then still treated me as though I was still an inconvenience. I felt so embarrassed every time she wanted to go out and party, and I could barely even walk. There were many instances of verbal abuse as well, often in public places. For example, we went out on a date at a bar once. I had let her know that due to a family emergency, I might take out my phone a few times. The second I take my phone out, she bashed the table, tossed the chair, left a $100 bill on the table, and walked out even before the food even came. I was so humiliated, and other people asked if I was okay. She apologized after, but that is just one of many instances of this kind of behavior. I am not a perfect human by any means, but when I tell you not once did I ever raise my voice at her in the entire relationship, I have a very big fear of confrontation, so the way she responded to things caused me to develop panic disorder and symptoms of schizophrenia. I was hospitalized 42 times in 1 year, usually with a BPM over 150, and was admitted to a psych ward. Keep in mind, before I met her I had no prior mental health history. I had a stable job, a healthy body, and was never on mental health medications. My only prior relationship of 5 years was also stable and loving, but my partner moved across the country, so we chose to end things. The underlying issue was that Sarah was on a cocktail of medications, antidepressants, anxiety medication, ADHD medication, and another drug for mental health which I can't recall. Because of her ADHD, she would sometimes forget to pick up her medications. At the same time, she was experimenting with different medications and dosages under doctor supervision. This meant she was always on a different combination of psychiatric medications throughout our relationship. Her mood was really unpredictable, and I never knew when she would snap. For example, we had just went to IKEA that day, and everything was great. We had a fun time installing curtains in her new apartment. I would sometimes suffer from really bad brain fog from the antibiotics and panic attack meds I was always on. Well, apparently I didn't realize I made a face after she asked me to pass her something, which caused her to yell, "Stop making that stupid fucking face, I can't stand it." Then she proceeded to mock me. She would also go through my phone behind my back, accusing me of cheating when I would never do such a thing, and there was nothing to even possibly hint at the thought. She said she did this because her exes all cheated, even though she would always go to gay bars alone wearing nothing but lingerie. And I never bothered her once about it. I didn't want to interfere with her freedom of expression. She was finding her new identity, transitioning from male to female. After 4 long years, she broke up with me in public after I coincidentally bumped into her at a bar when our mutual friend and I went out for drinks. Sarah was talking to other girls, but I was just so happy to see her and ran to give her a hug. But she seemed upset that I had ruined her day. She went on a rant for 20 minutes about how she can't stand me always being sick and said she fell out of love with me a few months back, but didn't want to tell me. She told me soulmates don't exist. I never said they did. How I am not special, never said I was. And she could find someone tonight if she wanted to. The panic attack I had from her yelling at me so much in public was so bad that I started puking blood. I was taken by ambulance to the hospital, and after she never checked up on me. Instead, I woke up in the hospital the next day to see that she started following hundreds of plus-sized porn stars and sharing their posts. After causing me to drop to 91 pounds at 5 feet 8 inches. After that, I blocked her on all social medias. I had also blocked her number. One day, about 6 months after the breakup, I received a voicemail from her from another number. She said it was an emergency and was crying, so I called her back. She told me how her hamster died because she forgot to feed her and was crying and blaming her ADHD, saying she basically forgot the hamster existed. This turned into a long conversation about her apologizing, her feeling lonely because no one wants to date her. She moved across the country, and I made it very clear. I had not even the slightest interest in getting back with her. She said she cared about me as a friend and missed the friendship we had. I agreed to remain friends, but only unblocked her on Instagram. She then started sharing with me intimate details of her sex life with strangers and other people she would meet at bars. It seemed like every conversation would turn into her sending me memes about sucking off trans girls and trans penises. Then she would tell me how she was good at sucking dick and would only top people. Then it progressed into telling me how trans girls' anuses felt better than vaginas, and that was really the last straw for me. I had told her numerous times this made me uncomfortable. She said she was just sharing information that she shares with all her female friends and made me seem unreasonable for not wanting to discuss her sex life, especially when she knew I was dealing with a death in the family at the same time. And I'm not just a female friend. I pictured myself at one point spending my life with her. Why do I want to picture her sucking dick and what her partner's penises look like? I make it clear that she has a very bad issue with respecting boundaries, and I block her Instagram. About 3 weeks later, she makes a new account with the same picture and almost the same name. She likes my posts and all my stories. I go to the page to check the account because I was confused as I thought I blocked her already. As soon as she liked my posts with this alt account, she uploads photos of her making out with other people and talks about how good dick is. Was this behavior intentional, or am I just looking too hard into things? I just can't understand what I did to deserve any of this.